Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and CEO of Care.com, Ms. Shiela Marcelo.
When you're in technology, you learn to adjust and be flexible, but apparently it's not working. Okay, we ready? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I know it's always in the afternoon. It's nice to just do a big stretch. Can I just have everybody just stretch for a second? Yes, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I wanted you to stretch because I wanted to make sure you reached up high because I'm going to start with a few questions. The first one is, it's my entitled as the speech is innovation because Doris asked me to talk a little bit about this. But the first question I had was, how many people like to save money? Be honest. We actually like to spend more than we save. But how many like to save money for college? Whether it's for your own children or whether you're younger here, because I know some young entrepreneurs here, saving for yourself. It's not the sexiest thing in the world, right? It's not that fun. Oh, how many people, it's going forward, sorry. How many people like looking for a job? I showed something online because nowadays we go on Monster, right? Not a lot of hands. How many people like looking for care for their children or their parents? There's a few women in the audience. Men, you can easily raise your hand because often that's not your responsibility. That's pretty easy, right? The reason I ask these questions is because this is what it's so important in our lives, right? Education, our livelihood and our income, and at the same time caring for our families, right? And why does this matter? Because these are things that we don't actually think about every day. They're not that fun. It's not that sexy of businesses to get into. And the reason I'm going to talk about innovation today is, who's the crazy person who actually gets into these businesses? That's me. I put myself up there, right? I had a mentor once ask me when I was debating launching Care.com, because I was getting an offer to actually run a hot mobile entertainment company. And this is after I've had experience running other companies. And he said, are you in the pain business or are you in the pleasure business? It was a really good question. Because I really had to ask myself, what was it that I was passionate about? You've heard it from all the speakers, from Cher, from Tony, from other people. It's about what you're passionate about, and I had to be true to myself, right? I was in the pain business, right? College savings is not that fun. Trying to find a job is not that fun. First one was You Promise. The second was theladders.com. You can read my bio. And then now it's Care.com. What I do and what I focus on, and our entire team, is not sexy, but it is a major pain point for so many people, both to find a job as caregivers, but also to help families pursue their dreams and their careers. So Doris had asked me to share this story because I know some of you are budding entrepreneurs, right? That's me. And that's a baby actually in Germany. I love children. I'm pretty passionate about what I do, but why am I in this business? Why am I in the pain business? I was born and raised here in the Philippines, and Anna had asked me about school. I went to Brent Baguio, and then I was educated at Mount Holyoke College, a women's college, and that's important. I'll come back to why in a second. And I got pregnant in college, and I now have a 20-year-old. And sometimes people ask me, because I'm Asian and I look young, they say, is that your son? First marriage, second marriage? I said, no, he's our son, and we've been married 21 years. But the reason I share this story is because I was in the United States as an immigrant. Neither my husband or I had family, and care was really hard for me. I had to put myself through school, both my husband and we juggled care. I remember learning to drive in the snow and buying my first used Subaru, And it was really hard because I had to drop off my son at daycare while I then went to school. And there were even instances where I would have him in my backpack, I remember in a geopolitical class, because the daycare was closed. And I would be juggling him like this in school, right? And that pain point I felt, and it was real. And then later, when my second son was born, also an unplanned pregnancy in grad school, and he's a wonderful gift. Today he's 13 years old. My father came to visit when he was an infant. And my father was carrying him up the stairs, and my father fell backwards. And he had a heart attack in Boston. He's fine today, but thank goodness that we lived where there was great medical care. But what we didn't have was access to terrific care that I could find for him so that I could work. In fact, during those days, here I was working in a technology field. The only thing available was the yellow pages. And it didn't make sense to me. So that personal passion and experience that I had was one of the reasons that drove me to start Care.com. But what was so interesting was after launching Care.com, my mother visited, and she said, I don't know if you know, Shiela, but the #1 source of caregiving in the entire world is the Philippines. So now not only my personal passion came to bear, but my ethnic background. And that I was going to be able to do something that meant something to people that mattered a lot to me and that I love, which is the Filipino people. So that meant a great deal. So personal passion, professional background. Dado mentioned the importance of education. I did my JD MBA at Harvard. It was really critical and important, but the reason I actually share that is that's where I learned about technology and the internet. I started teaching a class on building innovation and women building business, and that's when I started grading internet business plans. But lo and behold, I had no internet background. Who was I to grade papers and business plans on the internet? I first had to get experience, right? And that's when I jumped into You Promise. And we built a large marketplace. We sold that in 2006. That's where I learned my general management tour of duty, and I started from scratch. You will see a lot of the leaders that shared their stories today, the humility from starting from the beginning. Despite my graduate degrees, and hopefully the students hear this, I didn't ask for a title. I didn't ask for a director title nor a VP title. I was going to get paid to learn how to run an internet company. That was a fantastic education. I didn't need a title for that. In fact, it was different from grad school. I was now going to get paid, which was kind of cool. So I think that's really critical and important to learn to do that. So I learned about marketplaces, building businesses, and then I ran theladders.com as the GM, which was another terrific experience, and that was about marketplaces and jobs. So I brought both my professional and personal passion to start Care.com. So how big is this opportunity? This pain point I'm passionate about, but now let's get to the business, right? How large is it? It is, in the United States, $240 billion is spent every year on care. If we even touch the surface of 1%, it's 2.4, and 10% at 24 billion. That is a huge market, and that is just the United States, because now we're just doing the studies to size the world. But to give you a sense, there are about 267 babies born every minute, 140 million a year. And with the aging population, right, between now and 2040, the oldest of the old, 350% growth, even though the average population will only grow 39%. Right? And in October, we hit 7 billion. So what are we talking about? It's caring for people. It's not an easy business, but it is a gigantic opportunity, right? And it's our time. How can we pursue our passions, our careers, our dreams if the people who we have at home and we do not have the peace of mind if they're not cared for properly? So I touch on some of the statistics, 240 billion. Okay, Another quick story here is when I started this company, some people always ask me, especially moms that I run into, said, why weren't you around 20 years ago? Well, obviously the technology wasn't there, right? We're hearing about the technology of e-commerce, the semiconductor chips. I mean, all of that contributes to the power of being able to deliver a service online, right? But where was the consumer mindset? 20 years ago, do you think everybody was comfortable using Monster or going online to find people? I remember back in the day, people would be like, I would never hire anybody online. It's always through the network or a recruiter, okay? Then, how about just 10 years ago? How many people were comfortable going online to find a date? Might still make people uncomfortable, especially your parents, right? But it's true. Did we go on Match.com 10 years ago? No. And how many weddings have we gone to now with people finding each other online? Right? Care was not ready. We weren't as comfortable trying to find care for our loved ones. But it is now moving in that direction. A combination of the internet, a combination of breaking the mindset is what's opening this gigantic opportunity of a market to go after with regards to global care. She's a cute kid, huh? But anyways, so what are we doing in terms of innovation, right? Because that's the theme today. A combination of different things, active on mobile, servicing the internet, providing a marketplace where we're bringing together millions of vetted caregivers globally to families, similar to a dating website. You can look for whatever you need, okay? We also just recently purchased Breedlove. We are now allowing professionalizing caregivers, which is a dream of mine, and so now you can be compliant. And in the United States, you can pay through us local, federal, state taxes for your household employee. We're trying to teach citizens to be compliant and to be great citizens to give back, while at the same time professionalizing their caregivers. Global marketplace, we're in 18 countries now because the thesis is about care beyond boundaries. My parents were here. I was living in the United States. The idea of trying to provide care wherever you are. And in fact, I can say that for the first time, we actually, through a partnership that we did in joint venture in the Philippines, we have now started to place caregivers in Canada from the Philippines. So it's very, very exciting, all through an online experience. So by definition, entrepreneurs are innovators, right? But the one key thing that I think is really important is that innovation does not have to be an invention. I'm not a rocket scientist, I'm not an engineer like Dado, right? But I will tell you, things that are in a box, we're always taught as an entrepreneur to think out of the box. Sometimes what you have in the box and your experience can lead to reinvention. And that is innovation also. What we're doing here is not rocket science, right? It's something that is solving things for people, but it's leveraging the power of the internet. And it's not based on some new technology, but it's leveraging technology to deliver a good service. So I'm just going to end there, and I just want to say and emphasize the fact that find truly something that you're passionate about, right? And believe in the fact that if you want to solve something, there are opportunities to use technology to help people. Thank you.